A lot of people in Singapore think that activism is for people with nothing better to do and people who are just making noise for the sake of making noise.
All the really confused passengers who came up to me and were like, what is going on and why are you doing this and is this legal?
They don't see that it's coming from a place of caring about what is going on around you.
How it affected them just to see a group of people physically stand there and take a stand on something.
So I'm walking around some blocks tonight to see if there's anyone sleeping outside. This is for a research that a team is doing. So they did something similar 2 years ago, where they went out on one night to count the number of persons sleeping outside. And this year they want to do it island-wide. So I'm volunteering to do this. My name is Ning Qian. I work as a senior research executive at AWARE. And I am a women's rights activist. I've always been interested in two things. I've been interested in research and women's rights. And I've always believed that research should be for a purpose, and the purpose should be to address inequalities and social injustices that we observe around us. I think the issue of homelessness is one that's quite understudied in Singapore. We don't really have any robust data. So this research is really important. As a society, we are quite depoliticized in a sense that, in schools, for example, we don't really learn about we don't learn about things like social injustices. Poverty, for example, is always like, okay, so the solution is to volunteer or you donate money or things like that. It's never about protesting or organizing yourselves to demand for a particular change that you want to see. There are many things that people can do in their own capacity as well. Even you just speaking to your friends about issues that you care about to get more public awareness about certain things. You always, for example, write into your MPs to tell them these are things I want you to raise, or even write into the media to air your opinions about how you feel. Our single parents campaign, after we have completed the research and things, we have all these data, but what really captures the minds of the general public, I think, is when individual people's stories are showcased and highlighted. So it's really going beyond the numbers and saying this particular problem happening to a real person and their families.
My name is Filzah and I am a Muslim women's rights activist. One project that we did was where we produced a publication of stories written by Muslim women about their experiences in Singapore. We felt that it was important to tell stories written by Muslim women themselves, because a lot of these stories are not told by mainstream media, or the stories that are being told by mainstream media usually follows a certain narrative that does not include the diversity of experiences. So one of the stories that came out in the communities that I work with is about FGC, or female genital cutting, or also known as sunat perempuan within the community itself. So this is an issue that is definitely not talked about very openly. It's not dinner table conversation. When people share stories about how they felt when they found out that they had FGC performed on them, I think it creates a sense of community, and also a lot of mothers stepping up to say that they won't do this to their children. I think that's also very powerful. Stories are personal, but there is this very powerful quote called "the personal is political," where we have to recognize that personal issues are actually part of systemic and broader structures, come out with collective action and collective solutions to it.
I'm Kokila and I'm a human rights activist. Sometimes I think that people understand exactly what it is and are uncomfortable with it. It is just not part of their imagination and world a lot of the time to see people engaged in issues on a political level. There is a very strong narrative of a good activist versus a bad activist. We are stronger when there are diverse strategies, that we're more vibrant. Like, not everyone gets invited to a closed-door meeting with the ministries. Not everyone may be able to get their op-ed published. And in Singapore, if you're talking about the death penalty or about civil and political rights, then I think often we have no ways other than to have an uncomfortable conversation. There are more and more laws and policies that prohibit all kinds of organizing, foreigner participation. Sometimes we're not left with much choice, but to do things that you're not sure are legal. The MRT protest in 2017, that we had so many questions. We're like, so will the police come, and if they come, what should we do, and how do we, respond to this? And Like reading and following the Hong Kong protests, like there was so much of a narrative of how much they learned from the last time, right? We need opportunities to exercise our civil and political rights so that we learn how to use them well and also strategize around them. But I think there is a value to coming together physically alongside fellow citizens and engaging with them on something you care about. So many people asked me, isn't this illegal? And I was like, yeah, but they believe in it, so they're doing it. And that what is legal is not always just, and what is just is not always legal.
Well, activism to me is about caring about what is going on around you and wanting to do something about it and actually doing something about it.
I'm an activist because I have to be one. I feel like we have to see that all our issues are interconnected and that we have to show up for things and for issues even though they may not impact us directly.
I'm an activist because it is the fullest expression of what caring about Singapore means to me.